Hello and welcome to another episode of The Art of Being Human. With me is your host, Kathy Motlagh, and sponsored by Think Virtues. Today we have Henrik Stepanyan, who is the CEO of BBQ Galore, which is a company or a store that has 17 locations in 4 states. And Henrik's, I've had a chance to talk to him. He has an incredible story. He's an incredible man. And I can't wait for you guys to meet him, learn about him, hear about his stories. So without any further ado, Henrik, why don't you start us off with telling us a little bit about your story and your journey?
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you and share the story and just share who I am and where we're at as a company and as a person. My name is Henrik Stepanyan. Like you said, I'm the CEO of BBQ Galore, who is the largest specialty retailer of outdoor grills and patio furniture in the country. We've been around since 1980. I joined the company in 2008, March 3rd, so it'll be about 17 years, about a month from now. I took over the company in 2010, shortly after I joined. Before I joined the company, I was born and raised in a little tiny country called Armenia, in a little town called Ararat, which is, for those who are, historical buffs, that's where Noah's Ark on Mount Ararat was found or supposedly found. I'm from a little village out there. I came to the United States at the age of 10 in 1988. And shortly after, my father, who was happy to be here, and when I got a call from a recruiter from the United States Marine Corps asking me if I wanted to be a Marine, and I was a 17-year-old kid, and I was like, oh, yes, sir. And I went home and I told my parents, hey, this person called me, says, if I want to go to the military. And my father's like, this is the best country in the world. Absolutely, go serve it. And
Wow.
I joined the Marine Corps when I was 17 years old, right after high school in 1995. I did my 4 years of military service and got out 4 years later as a sergeant in the Marine Corps. And from there, I went into the retail world. I've always been told that, I had a personality, I can talk to people, I can connect with people, this and that. And my buddy's like, hey man, come sell some furniture. And I was like, what's in furniture? What kind of money's in furniture? He's like, it's your cup of tea. I said, okay. So I joined a company called Levitt's Furniture.
Mm.
And within my second month there, I was the top writer in the company, and they had locations throughout the entire country. And coming from Armenia, going to the military, I never saw money. I didn't know, what kind of money could be made in commission sales. So
Mhm.
after my first paycheck, I happened to go to our payroll lady, Ada, who was Armenian as well, and I told her, I go, Ada, you gave me the wrong check. Please make sure that I get the right one because I think you overpaid me. And she's like, no, honey, it's the right check. You're good. I said, no, 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 no. I don't. I want to make sure that you guys don't overpay me. I don't want to owe anybody any money. This is too much money. And she's like, no, 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 don't worry. So I went home, and at the time, I got married when I was very young. I told my wife, I said, listen, don't cash this check, or if you cash it, don't spend too much of it. I think they're wrong. So a couple of weeks go by, and I get another commission check. And again, I go to Ada's office. I'm like, Ada, this is again too much money. Please, I don't want to owe you any money. Recalculate my commissions. Make sure, you don't overpay me because I don't want to owe any. I don't like owing money to anybody. And she goes, no, 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 you're good. And so for the first time in my life, my first year selling furniture, I made $117,000. Which
Wow.
for me, as a 21-year-old who came from, who's an immigrant who never made any money in my life because in the military, our brothers and sisters don't make that much money, So having that kind of income, my mind was blown. I
Mm.
couldn't believe that you can make this kind of money in this country selling furniture to people. I was like, what is this? This is great. 2 years went by where I was the top producer in the company, and there happened to be an opening for a store manager position, which at the time paid $48,000 a year. So I called my district manager, Rich, and I said, hey, Rich, I want to be a store manager. And he asked me if I was drunk. He said, he goes, hey man, he's like, you been drinking? I was like, no, sir. He goes, you know how the process works here, right? First, you're a salesperson, then you're a merchandiser, then you're a sales manager, then you're a store manager. I go, I know, but I want to be a store manager. He's like, you realize it's going to take a humongous pay cut, right? I go, I don't care about that. You know, I'm more worried, concerned about growing with the company, and you know, I want to grow with this company. And he goes, I think you're drunk. I'm going to come see you right now. So he drove down to the Glendale location in California. I said, look, I'm not drunk. You know, we're having a good conversation. He goes, okay. And he goes, let me talk to the vice president. At the time it was Bob. And Bob's question was, is he drunk or is he doing drugs? Now, test him for drugs because this is not normal, you know, for someone to take a significant pay cut and to think they can skip those other two roles from the merchandiser, sales manager into a store manager. So long story short, they gave me the opportunity to be a store manager. And I happened to get selected at the time. It was in Northridge, California, to be what they had called at the time the model store, which
Mm.
meant, you know, anytime there was bankers, anytime there was visitors from, you know, different parts of the company coming in, they would go to the model store to do the walkthrough to make sure that everything was in place. And we had very strict standards to adhere by, where you had to have, you know, a certain, let's say, living room set, sofa set had to have this certain coffee table, certain end table, certain rug, certain lamp, certain plant, certain picture. Everything had to be 100% on point for you to, you know, be a model store.
Mhm.
And back then we had a very, what's the word I can use? Very picky CEO that, you know, would come around and visit stores, and he would grade the stores based on how well we were up to the standards that the company had set.
Mhm.
And nobody ever got a 10. So his scale was from, you know, 0 to 10, and no one ever got a 10. So he comes to my store, and I have what I thought was everything was perfect. Right. I said, okay, I'm good. I got everything perfect. We do the visit. I knew my numbers. I knew my business. I knew my market. Everything was, when I had to control myself, I controlled, and I thought I 10 out of 10. So as we were leaving, and he was visiting the store, I finished the visit. He said, okay. He goes, you got 8.5. I was like, okay.
What did I miss?
Yeah, I was like, okay, sir, got it. I go, can I ask what the 8.5 is for? Word, I know what I missed. Because it was so, even the thumbtacks that we had in our back offices had to be clear. You couldn't have any color thumbtacks. I mean, everything had to be 4 inches from the table where the tag would go, 4 finger lengths, this and that. He goes, well, nobody gets a 10. So it's 0 to 9, actually. I said, okay. He goes, you lost a half a point. I go, okay, sir, where is it at? He goes, let's go outside. We go in the parking lot halfway through. There's a little weed about like an inch tall for one of the parking stalls. He goes, that's your half a point. I go, yes, sir. Thank you very much. I'll take it. And I'll, you know, okay, whatever. You know, I was happy that he got me only on the little weed that was a piece of grass that was about a half an inch in the parking lot in one of the, you know, the car stoppers area. I said, okay, cool. Um, and then I was there for 2 years as a store manager at the model store. And unfortunately, the person who helped me get promoted passed away on the showroom floor.
Mm.
Yeah, he was a very healthy gentleman. And I was at the Northridge store, and I get a call from the Glendale store saying, hey, you need to come right now. Rich went to the hospital. I said, okay. So I drove to the hospital, and I walk in. At the time, there was no family there. I was the first one there. And the doctor comes out and is like, you know, he said, who are you here for? I said, so and so. He said, I'm sorry to let you know he's passed away. I thought, oh
Oh.
my God. You know, so I had to inform the company and inform his family that was coming to see what's going on. His wife pulled up. I had to take his wife's car, go park the car. His sister, his brothers all came by, and I had to inform them that, you know, Rich passed away.
How old was he?
55 years old.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
he's
young.
so young and so such a great man. Such a great.
Oh, what happened to him? Did he have a heart attack?
Honestly, I never found out the reason he passed away. He was on the showroom floor, and then he just sat down on the chair. It was December 11th, and that afternoon we had talked about doing it because he was Polish, but his wife was Armenian. And, and we had talked about going to a New Year's dinner with the family.
Wow.
And then 2 hours later, I get the phone call. He happened to be leaving his office to go to one of the other areas of the showroom, and then just grabbed his heart, sat on the chair, and then passed away shortly after.
Wow, that's so sad.
It
Okay,
was.
so
It
tell
was.
us the rest of this. Wow, how remarkable that you get there before the family. That's amazing.
Yeah, because it took, by the time in this particular location, the actual location was in the city of LA, and across the train tracks was Glendale. But when they dialed 911, it went to an LA location versus Glendale. There was an ambulance placed literally across the street. By the time the ambulance got there, it was 20 minutes later. I was there. I was only 30 minutes away. So by the time they got there, picked them up, tried to work on them at the showroom. By the time they got to the hospital, I was already at the hospital. Um,
Wow.
yeah. And then after that, the company had merged with another company from the East Coast, and they were doing a restructure. And the new senior vice president, who to this day is my mentor, comes to my showroom. We walk in the showroom. He goes, "Tell me your story. How'd you end up here?" So I tell him my story about, who I am and at the company, what I was doing. And then we're in the middle of the showroom. He looks dead at me. He goes, "What are you, stupid?" And I was like, uh, "I don't think so, sir." He goes, "Why would you leave being the top dog to taking a pay cut?" I had to explain to him. He goes, "Okay, that's not normal." I said, "Okay, it is what it is." And then a couple of weeks go by, and after after the funeral, everybody's getting situated, and he was visiting the area again. He goes, "I need you to be at Huntington Beach store at 10 a.m. on Monday. We're having an open house." I go, "Okay, sir, no problem." And I get there. He goes, "Okay, you've been promoted to area manager. You're the first one that I'm doing this restructure with, and I need you to, we're going to hire this many people, this many managers, this many." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." He goes, "Here's your pay. Here's this. Here's this." I'm like, "Got it. Okay, yes, sir." And did that. And a year later, I became, at the age of 25, I got promoted again to be the vice president of Northern California, Arizona, and Nevada. It was
Mm,
a $250 million territory. And I did that for a year. And I ended up being the VP of the year because there was three of us. There was an East Coast VP, Southwest VP, and then the Northwest VP, which was me. I had to move from Glendale to Northern California.
mhm,
And I had the best performance out of all the VPs. And because of the merger, they were going to change some stuff around.
mhm.
Commission was going to change, and when they presented the commission change, they said, "Okay, here is a commission." So I looked at it. I said, "Okay, this is going to be a pay cut for our associates, but I'll sell it to them. I'll tell them what's going on, be honest with them, and we can roll with it." The company was struggling. My region was doing good. Others were not as good, but my team had my trust, and I trusted them. If I told them the truth, they would, understand and was roll with them. And they said, "No, it's a pay raise." I said, "Well, based on what I'm looking at, it's not a pay raise. There's a major cut. Well, if you hit this certain criteria, you get a pay raise." I'm like, "Well, no one's ever hit that. No one's ever going to hit that. And if I tell my guys, hey, my guys and girls about the stores, it's a pay raise. If you hit this, they're going to laugh at me, thinking, I'm stupid and I'm BSing them." And I said, "Look, it's not." Though they said, "No, you have to sell it as a pay raise." I said, "Well, I'm not doing that."
Mm,
So I resigned. I
mm.
left because I said, "I'm not going to, throw my character out there and go lie to these people and then look stupid in front of them when it's a." And I got a call from my counterpart who had helped me get promoted. He's like, "What are you doing, man?" He goes, "You're 25 years old. You're making great money. Why would you leave?" I was like, "I'm not. I don't play this game, dude. Like, this is my integrity is more important than, sitting there trying
Wow.
to get a paycheck." And I left within a month. He calls me. He goes, "Dude, I can't take it. I'm gone too." So he left, and then a year later, the company went out of business. Um, and then from there,
Yeah. Wow. What a
yeah,
great story.
it was. I learned a lot. At a
Mhm.
young age to go, from nothing to the military. As far as pay goes, nothing. The experience I learned, though, I gained so much from the military experience of how to build a team, how to lead a team. When I got promoted to sergeant in the Marine Corps at the time, I did it at 2.5 years, which back then it took about 6 years to get to that level.
Mm.
I was chosen to drive for the base commander in Virginia when I was out of thousands of Marines. They chose me to be his personal driver because I have OCD issues where my uniform, with I would take a fish line, put it in the seam, iron it to make sure the seam was always perfect. My boots were always spit shine. You can look in almost like in the mirror in the boots. I would take the buttons out from the camouflage uniform and put Velcro so when I dry clean, when I washed them, you didn't see those little holes coming out. So I was
Wow.
always had to have my uniform be,
Meticulous.
very, very. So when I left Levitt's, I was going to actually start my own business, and because I noticed in the furniture world, the product with the most margins was mattresses.
Is that
Mattresses.
right?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of margin in mattresses. That's why there's so many stores out there that sell mattresses, and the margins were great. And I had picked a
I did
location.
not know that.
Oh yeah, yeah, the margins are beautiful. Um, so I had location picked out in Pasadena, in Old Town Pasadena, and as I was doing my due diligence, looking at competitors, so what's out there, what kind of stores, I happened to walk into a company called Sleep Number.
Mm.
And I went through the process of the associates, showing me the product. And I was like, it's a unique product because it's not like every other mattress.
Hmm.
And I checked the company out. I was like, you know what? This is actually a great company. The company is still to this day, I think, is the best ranked company I've ever seen personally myself. Their CEO, Shelly Ibach, is a genius. She's amazing. Before her, it was Bill McLaughlin, who was just good people, great product, great service. Everything was and is to this day, top notch. And I joined them instead of getting my own thing. I said, look, I'll just, they hired me as a market manager for the LA North area. Um, I did that for about 2.5 years. And during that time, I got to be a part of a few leadership committees where they were rolling out a new ERP program. And they chose me and a few other people to be a part of that rollout period. If there was a area manager that was, needed to be replaced, but the area had to be covered, like for example, in Seattle, the area manager left and I covered it for a few months. They asked me to cover both markets, for a while until they can hire somebody, I could train them and then put them in place. So a great company, great experience. And then 2.5 years later, I get a call from a recruiter saying, hey, we got your name from somebody. There's this company called BBQ Galore that is looking at growing. They're going to go public soon. They're going to open up a lot of stores. And your experience with opening stores, one of your friends recommended you because you were a key part of the growth at Levitt's when we opened up 20 stores in like a 3-month period. I was one of the leaders of that, process. I said, listen, her name was Liz. I go, Liz, thank you so much for reaching out. I'm flattered. Thank you, but I'm good here. I love this company. She goes, okay. And then she calls back the very next day. She goes, I don't think you understand. Like, you're a perfect fit for this company. I was like, Liz, I'm solid here. I'm good. This is a great company. I'm growing here as well. She calls back a third day. I was like, okay, love, fine. We'll go talk to him. And I went and I interviewed with the VP at the time, Rob, who is one of the brightest individuals I've ever met in my life, former Navy officer, just solid. I was like, oh my God, this guy's like, like he's smart. He's just got everything together. He knew business, but he was cool too. Sometimes
Yeah.
sometimes you meet people, they're smart, but they're nerds. This guy was smart and very cool. Um, and we clicked, and then the HR VP of HR, Christina, she was amazing. And I happened to be the first interview in the morning. And
Mm.
they were hiring for a regional manager in Southern California and another one for Arizona and Nevada. And I opened my mouth. I said, after we got to, had a great interview process and we're talking. I said, look, I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, but based on the volume that these markets do, I can do both. And Rob's like, really? I was like, well, I'm used to doing a $250 million territory. This is only like 30, $40 million. I'm used to doing 20 plus stores. This is about 10 stores. So this is, I'm not trying to be arrogant. I'm not trying to be, but I can save you some money and do both of these territories. And then Rob was like, Christina, he goes, can we just be done and hire this guy? She goes, no, we got to go through the process, interview everybody, that we have lined up. So slow down, and luckily they picked me. and three other gentlemen to go to talk to the CEO. And I get to the CEO interview, and it was a panel interview with the CFO, the CEO, and the VP of HR, and all these other folks. And the people that were there were, just dressed to the T, a lot more experience than I have. And I was like, oh God, here we go. I'm the youngest one and the less experienced one. These guys were all just solid backgrounds. And the Marine Corps portion of it helped me a lot. When I was talking to the CEO, we started talking about business and this and that. We went through the typical interview questions. And we connected on the military side of it because he was a big part of donating to military families. And I have a soft spot. I'm, at that moment when he was explaining the story about a certain Marine that was injured and what, he's done for that family, I got a little teary-eyed because to me, that's, it's huge when he can help our veterans. Being a veteran myself, we connected. And fortunately for me, I got chosen to be in that role ahead of all the other ones.
Wow, great.
So they hired me, and then I brought in about, I think it was 10 to 15 people with me from previous job, from Sleep Number and from Levitt's, because they were going to grow so much. And that was March 3rd of 2008. And I had this presentation done saying we're going to open up all these stores, we're going to grow, we're going to go public, we're going to be rich, we're going to like all the, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. What a time to be in this company. And April 23rd, we go to a meeting in San Diego, said, okay, we're having major layoffs. And yeah, times are tough and you need to pick who you want to let go. I'm like, I just got here and I have all these people I brought with me. And I said, okay, I made my bed, I got to lay in it. So we went through the process. And then in August, the company filed for Chapter 11. And I got a call from Sleep Number saying, hey, we heard that, they're in bankruptcy. We'd love to have you back. I said, I would come back if the people I brought with me can come back with me. And they said, no, we just want you. I said, well, I can't abandon them. I brought them here. So, they trusted me and I got to stick it out with them. So I stuck it out. The VP that hired me left the company and they promoted me to be the VP. And then a year later, the company was still struggling on the operation side. And CEO left, asked to leave. That's whatever, he was gone. And the owner was going to shut the company down because he had lost $60 million the year before, 12 million the year before that. And his sister, who is another amazing lady, happened to be a CEO of his other company that he owns in the US. And she was in Dallas. So she came over to start talking about closing the company down. And then I asked to speak with her. I said, look, can I speak to you privately? And she said, sure. I said, look, I don't know the financials. All I know is the sales side. I know we're selling stuff, but for some reason, it's not paying the bills. I go, I don't know the books. I have an idea. Why don't you let me run the company? I'll do the operation side. Give me a chance. Give me a year. You do the money side. At your brother's company, I don't want to see the money. I don't want to raise. I don't want anything financially to benefit me. I just want a chance to look at the books and see where we're at and try to make a difference. And I go, I'll be the COO, you be the CEO, you take care of the money, I take care of everything else. And then she spoke to her brother, and luckily for me, they agreed to let me do it. I was like, oh crap, okay. I was 31 years old. I'm like, oh, here we go. You opened your mouth and now you got to put your, put in the work and get it done.
Now you have to do it.
Exactly. And, we made some changes immediately. When I saw the books, I saw how much waste there was happening in the company. A lot of waste.
What were some of the ways? Give me some examples.
A lot of inflated salaries of people who didn't do any work.
Okay.
That was the first one where we were able to cut back. We're like, well, this position doesn't need to be here. This position is here's a $250,000 salary for somebody who doesn't even live in the area that we have stores in. Here's a $250,000 salary for somebody who does a position that we have no use for. Here's a $250,000 salary for this person who does something else that it makes
Wow.
no sense. And then there's other, other things where, I'm not a bright guy, but I'm a common sense guy. And when I look at the financials and I just went, okay, thinking like a Marine, okay, where's the red? All right, why is that red? What's that line? Okay, that line is, this cost. Okay, why do we have so many vehicles? Why do we have, okay, and just start breaking everything down.
Mhm.
And made a lot of personnel changes
Mhm.
and brought up a lot of the guys and girls who were doing the work that I
Mhm.
saw when I was a VP of retail, when I was the regional manager. I saw who was doing the work and where, and gave those folks opportunity to step up and actually be recognized for what they're doing, not just
Mhm.
behind the scenes. And with the team to put together, this guys and girls who just killed it. And we went from losing $16 million. And then year three, we actually were profitable. Not by much, but we were able to make, the first profit year, I think it was like $35,000 in profit versus, 16 million lost 3 years prior.
Wow.
And from there, we just took care of our people because there was a lot of folks who were doing a great job. They weren't being recognized. And the culture was where we had stores and we had the operations where at the time they called it the corporate office. And I hate that word because it creates that barrier between the front line and the corporate office. So I changed the name from corporate office to the store support center because
Hmm.
that's what we were there for. Our job was to support the personnel in the stores so they can have what they need to take care of the customers who are paying our bills. And I made sure that everybody was aligned with the same mindset at the office. Like, look, we're here to support the team members at the store. Everybody's
Mhm.
important in the company. Everybody has their own, level of importance. But
Mhm.
understand, without the people in the store, we
Mhm.
have nothing.
Mhm.
If they don't have what they need, when they're calling the office for support, they're not calling to shoot the breeze and check on you and see how the weather is in San Diego. If they're calling from Dallas, wherever store, they have an urgent need because there's a customer in front of them that needs
Mhm.
answers. So
Yeah.
let's get them the answer. Let's get them what they need, and let's do it as soon as possible without giving them a hard time. And the culture, slowly changed, and people were being taken care of.
Mhm.
People who were being held accountable were okay with it because they hadn't had it in that way before. They were held accountable by yelling or whatever the case was, but
Mhm.
ours was constructive feedback. Okay, look, we all make mistakes. It's okay to make a mistake, but I'm going to give you the power and the ability to make a decision on your own. If you mess up, it's okay. We'll talk about it. We'll get it fixed. If you do it again, you're going to be gone. Because, like I said, don't be afraid to make a mistake. Make a decision. You don't need to make 4 or 5 phone calls to this person to get approval, that to get approval. Make a decision. You're the store manager. It's your store. It's your customer. It's your associate. It's your P&L. Roll with it, and we'll
Yeah.
support you. You know, and when we had, in the beginning, there was a lot of cleanup. We would have customers go on Yelp and Google and put, nasty reviews. I would respond back personally. If we were on the wrong, I said, look, we messed up. I'm sorry. It's on us. Here's your full refund. Here's this. I apologize. Shame on us. We'll get it fixed. But we had some customers who, of course, twisted what the issue is, and they didn't like the answer they wanted to hear, so they would blast the associate. And when I found out the information, the truth, I would
Mhm.
watch videos in the store, what happened with the interaction, and then I knew that the customer at that case was not telling the truth. I would go publicly on those Yelp and those Google reviews, say, okay, look, here's what happened. I'm sorry you felt it was different.
Mhm.
My associate did what they were supposed to do,
Mhm.
and I'm sorry that you don't feel like you got what you wanted. But
Yeah.
here's my cell phone number. Here's my email number. Call me directly if you have any questions.
Yeah.
And when the associates saw that, hey, this guy has our back.
Yeah.
No, this guy has our back, and is putting his cell phone number out there for everybody to see. No
Yeah.
one's no one's hiding. I said, here's my email, my cell phone number. Call me
Mhm.
and we'll discuss. I'll help you understand the facts and why that person did what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that approach because the customer's right attitude is not is just not the way to lead anymore.
Right.
It used to be, but you leave your employees. Yes, we all make mistakes, but there are some unreasonable clients out there. and you have to pick your battles. You have to. I love that approach. I'm pretty much, I lead the same way with integrity, and I'm not going to cow down to an unreasonable request because they're clients. And most of our clients are incredible. I mean, they're so amazing. They're
Right.
just like you. High integrity. They do the right thing. They show up. They hold themselves and their teams accountable. So when you have that kind of a client base, then you don't have the issues. But I love that. I mean, I love many things about what you said, but gosh, that's a good one too.
Yeah. Thank you. And the team, once they got that buy-in, they saw that we're there to support them and we mean it. It's not just lip service. Then everything else took care of itself. Everything else, whatever decision we made sure we were transparent with the associates. Everybody, here's what I'm doing. I'm thinking, give me your feedback. What do you guys think? What do you girls think? I'm thinking about this. And then we get feedback from everybody to make sure that they had input on the company's future. And that's whatever changes we made, it was well received, and the results, spoke for themselves. And we had a great run where we were, doing an awesome job. And then, when COVID happened, our sales went through the roof. We were killing it. It was a great time for our business because, unfortunately, it was a bad time for the country, and a great time for our business because people stayed home and they couldn't go anywhere. So they were cooking more, they were drooling more, they were entertaining more with friends and family than they had before. And we sell products that they use to entertain friends and family. And the demand became huge. And we saw great numbers. Our associates did phenomenal. And we were riding that train for a good couple of years until it stopped. And then when it
Wow.
stopped, yeah, our industry stopped. Like, it wasn't a slowdown, it was a complete put the emergency brake,
Yeah.
and it came to a halt. And the last couple of years, it's been a struggle.
Has it?
But yeah, it's been tough. But the one thing that I'm proud of our associates is, we have associates in our company that have been with us for 25 years, multiple people, 20 plus years. Um, a bunch of them could have left. They're so talented. They could have gone elsewhere and found other, positions that they could make more money on.
Hmm.
But we didn't lose anybody because things slowed down. Everybody stayed, they buckled down, and they found other ways to, be successful
Hmm.
and to get this through. And
Yeah.
when I go to stores and talk to associates, because I hate being in the office, the happy place is in the stores.
Okay.
That's where the customers are. That's
Yeah.
where the associates are dealing with the customers directly, and the associates can tell me directly what they need. So when I go to the stores, it's not to go and inspect, their numbers. It's not to go and check on them to see if they're doing good or not. It's literally every store I go to, what can we do for you guys?
Yeah.
How can we do a better job? Where are we failing as a company? What do you want to see changed? And when they have feedback, when they have good ideas, on the next conference call, I would say, hey, so and so from this store, thank you so much for the feedback. This was his idea. This was his doing. Thank you. Keep it coming. So we're going to do it. And so when they feel like they're being heard and they see action behind it, they're willing to stick around, and help us through the tough times. And that's the one thing, honestly, right now I'm the proudest of is how committed our team members are.
Hmm.
And throughout the years, we've had here and there, not that many associates leave
Hmm.
and then come back a year later,
Yeah.
come back 6 months later, like, what, I had it good. I
Yeah.
went to this company and this is what I saw. And this is what, they told me this,
Yeah.
they promised me the world, and it's not what I thought.
Yeah.
Coming back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I mean, I could totally see why people would want to work for you because you not only you have integrity, you show up, you roll your sleeves up when you need to, you're a man of action, you're a man of integrity, and you have your people's back. And you take care of your people. So what else, that's really important. So why do you think what's the problem with the low volume and low sales or low profits? Which one is
Um,
it?
it's right now, it's all of it. So the profits portion is like our overall cost. So our rents kept going up as the sales dropped. The rents kept going up. Right. We have leases that we were in for 5, 7 year leases that had annual increases. Freight costs, where to deliver something to a customer, where fuel costs were let's say 250 6 years ago, whatever. Now they're $5, $6. So the delivery companies we use charge more for delivery.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we can only charge the customer so much
Mm-hmm.
because we don't have the deep pockets like the Lowe's and the Home Depots do, where they or the Ace Hardwares do, where they can offer free delivery and free assembly. We don't have that, luxury. We
Mm-hmm.
have to do that to match those customers because we sell the same product for the most part. And those big companies are able, because for them, the grill business is not their core business. It's
Mm-hmm.
seasonal. They're in it for the summer and then they're out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So for us to be able to be competitive, we do have to offer those certain things where there's free delivery. Sometimes it's free assembly. Well, we're paying the companies that send out two people in a truck to go assemble them. And the margins on grills are not what people think they are.
Mm-hmm.
I have friends and family who think that, as an example, $1,000 grill, I make $900 on it. I'm like, bro, it's not like that. It's the margins are very minimal. We're lucky if we net 20% at the most in some cases by the time we pay for freight to get to us. And when we have to match somebody's 10% off, then that goes to 10%. We have to pay commission, we have to pay the rent, we have to pay this, we have to pay that. So margins are very minimal. Um,
Wow.
and the volume drop because in our business, we're tied directly to the housing market. So
Okay.
when people are doing remodels,
Sure.
they refinance their home, right, to get money out, and they'll do a kitchen project, they'll do a backyard, they'll add a pool, they'll do an outdoor kitchen. So when the rates started going up on the finance market, people stopped refinancing as much. When the rates went up, people stopped buying homes as much, right? Because we saw the housing market slow down. We saw the refinance boom, slow down. So we didn't have those customers who were able to cash out money from the house and spend that money on upgrades. So that had a direct impact on people's, ability to spend a huge backyard makeover. Ours is a small portion of it, but people who were coming to our stores like, hey, I'm building a pool, I'm doing a gazebo, and I'm doing a spa. I need an outdoor kitchen. Well, the project might have cost them 100 grand or 150. Our portion was a small portion of it, but they stopped doing that
Mm-hmm.
because the money wasn't as cheap as it was when it was 3% mortgage rates. You go to 7, and they're like, well, I'm in a 3% loan. I'm not going to take out a second mortgage for 7% and pay, or a refi for 7%. So I'm going to wait till the market slows down as far as the rates go down. I'll
Right.
refinance then. And I might
Right.
buy like a little like a little temporary grill, not temporary, but it's a good grill to get me through until I can refinance. So that
Yeah.
was, it was a combination of things that in our business, again, we're tied strictly to the housing market.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Now that you said that, it makes sense because there's so many things that are tied to the housing market. So, I mean, it's not just that. It's a paint, it's construction, it's drywall, it's everything. Everything is tied to there's so much that people don't know that is tied to the housing market. And hopefully that'll improve this year.
I'm very optimistic that this
Yes.
year we're going to see a lot of improvement in the home category, where hopefully the rates, come down a little bit.
Yeah.
People are still having equity in their homes because their values are going up,
Hmm.
and they're able to refi at some point and take some of the equity out and spend money on their homes.
Yeah.
And see, about a third of our business is contractors,
Yeah.
independent contractors. So when the housing market is, the way it is, the refi market is the way it is, those folks slow down as well. We'll have somebody in our system that's gentleman in Phoenix, he does 40, 50 homes a year.
Hmm.
And he comes to us exclusively to get his, because he does the same cookie cutter, layout for the backyard, and lets the customers choose what kind of grill they want to put in there. And he comes to us, sends the customers to us. When he started going from 60 houses a year that he was doing down to 20 and 30,
Hmm.
that's just one person, that we feel the impact on. Others who are doing 4 or 5 a year are doing
Hmm.
one. So we don't see them as often. But we're starting to see that pick up a little
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot more quotes right now for customers who are planning ahead for the summer, because the outdoor is a summer project
Hmm.
and people want to have it done before the summer.
Yeah.
So we're seeing in the last few months, and I don't want to get political or anything, but we kind of saw after the election, when people kind of were over the whole process, right? People didn't care. Some people didn't care who won. Just get this whole nonsense out of the way. Let's get some, let's settle down our rhetoric that we got going
Yes,
on.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and whoever it is, we'll support whoever the president is, and let's roll with it. So we saw after the election that the consumer confidence in our business started
Went up.
picking up. Yeah, people came in. So, okay, look, we know for certainty what the future is going to be
Yeah.
as far as who is leading the company. So, I mean, the
Yes.
country. So we don't have to worry about all this months and months of campaign of smear from both sides doing whatever. They just
Yes.
look, we have an answer. Okay.
Yes,
Now
let's
move on.
go. Let's go.
Let's
Let's
go.
let's do it. Let's look. I mean, that's what I said in my I was doing the workshop that I was doing, the master class. I said the same thing. Let's go. This is going to be a great year. Let's
Absolutely.
be optimistic. Let's work together. It doesn't matter which side you're on. Let's just do it. Let's get our goals met. That's what it's
Exactly.
all about. I mean, this country's great. I have the same love for this country as you do. And I think that we have a lot of work to do. And I think if we put our hands together, we can make it all happen. We can make a great thing happen.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the housing market, is there anything else that impacts it? Do you think that the products that you sell, are they mainly made in the United States, or are you going to be harmed by the tariffs?
It's about half and half. Our what we call the premium side, a lot of it is made locally, actually in California.
Oh, good.
But that's the high priced items where a grill is, let's say, a overseas made grill, a fancy word for saying China, or I call it offshore, sounds even better, but when you go to, let's say, a Home Depot, you can buy an overseas made grill for $500 and $400, whatever it is. But the customers that come to our store, they're doing a project. They come to our store because they want quality
Mhm.
and it's going to last. They want service. They want to be able to buy parts. Like we have customers buying parts for grills they bought 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we carry that.
Mhm.
So the US product, that's our high-end customers
Mhm.
who quite a few want to have a made in the USA product, and we love
Mhm.
those customers because they spend the most. Like, look, I don't care, I want it made in USA, and those are people who are able to spend $10,000, $15,000. And then our own line that we make, it comes from Taiwan, and
Okay.
then we carry some lines that are made in China. So we cover, some in Mexico, actually, two in Mexico. So we have a range of every customer and whatever their situation is and whatever their needs are, we can meet that. Whether it's somebody like, listen, starting out, I just got married. It's my first outdoor thing. I want to spend a few $1,000s to do something nice. We got you. Or
Okay.
it's somebody who we get a few of these, which I wish we had a lot more. End of the year, I need a write-off. I want to spend $50,000 on my outdoor kitchen because on my second house, because I need to spend money for the year end so I can get a write-off, my taxes. Please write off more, you
Yeah.
buy it for your other four houses, So we cater to the broad spectrum of customers who are starting out. They want to start a grill, and we love those customers because if we do our job and take care of them, when they go to their next house, when they go to the next project, they'll keep us in mind.
Yes,
So
exactly.
that's the part where we love them all, and the ones that are starting out, we love the most because that's a beginning of hopefully a lifelong relationship with those folks. We have customers again that we see that have bought their grill from us 25 years ago. They came in 15 years ago for a different house. They're coming in now to replace the one
Mhm.
from 25 years ago. And then they always say, I won't go anywhere else. You guys have been great from day one. When I bought my
Mhm.
grill 25 years ago, I needed a part 15 years later. You guys were there for me.
Yeah, I love that. I love that relationship building attitude and leadership because that's what it's all about.
Right.
And that's another place where we align because I have clients that I've had for the last 20 years.
It's
It's
it's so important. You know, it is so
very,
important to have them. Yeah.
very important.
And
So, yeah, go ahead.
no, I was saying like the way we approach our business is, and I tell my guys, look, we're not trying to solve the war in the Middle East. We're
Yeah.
not trying to, have world peace. Our customers come into our stores because they want to buy a product that's a want. It's not a need. They don't need a grill. They don't need an outdoor kitchen. They want it.
Yeah.
And what do they do with that kitchen? They entertain friends and family. So
Hmm.
don't try to sell them a grill.
Hmm.
Don't try to sell them something. Let's talk to our customer. Let's find out what their needs are, or present a lifestyle for them that makes sense for them.
Yes.
Because somebody might want to do a sink outside. Somebody might want to say, look, my wife wants to have a wine fridge outside. What's important to me is the grill. What's important to her is the aesthetics of, the other components of it, or vice
Right.
versa. Or she might say, look, I do the cooking. He thinks he can grill, but he can't. I'm better than him, which most women
Yeah.
are. They're more creative than we are. We just want meat and potatoes. The females want to do the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So being able to talk to the customers and find out what their needs are, show them the product and have them choose what best fits their lifestyle. And talk to them about not just about the grill. What do you want to make? How do you want it to taste? Make them feel what they're going to use, not just say this is a grill. Well, they're all the same. They all have stainless, they all have burners, they all have lights.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's like buying a car, right? They all have four wheels and an engine, and then you drive it.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
comes down to what's best for that person. What are you looking for in a car or in
Mhm.
a grill? What do you want to do
Yeah.
with it? And let me show you how, because our associate been with us for many years. On the weekends, a lot of stores cook
Hmm.
outside. Here's a spice to use if you like spicy flavor. Here's a sweet flavor spice. Here's what you do with the chicken. This is what you do with the pork shoulder and the turkey. You can make it fried. You can bake it. You can grill it. You can smoke it. All those things, they're able to get that experience from our team members in the store, because if you go to the big box stores, they don't have that. There's somebody working in plumbing one day, working in kitchens the next day, working in the garden area the next day, the grills the next day. They don't know, the ins and outs of how to properly use a grill
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
maximize the flavor.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. So that's another component of your service.
Oh yeah, it's not every day. I can tell you, there's not a day that goes by where a customer doesn't call the store and ask, "Hey man, I'm making this. I'm trying to brisket for the first time. What temperature should I have it at? When
Yeah.
should I pull it off? When should I put it back? When should I sauce it? I'm doing the ribs with this method. What do you think? Try to use aluminum foil or butcher paper? Do I take the membrane? Like all those things our associates know. Like, hey, check it out. Use this rub. It just came out from this company. Combine it with the other rub. Oh my God. Because you said earlier you like this flavor. This will get you what you want. And they call back. I tried it, man. It was amazing.
Wow. What's butcher paper? I've never heard of that.
Butcher paper is what they use, for example, if you're doing a big, as an example, like a pork shoulder, right? Pulled pork. Um, People use butcher paper. Some people use aluminum foil. It just depends on your preference, basically. And as an example, if like I'm doing a pulled pork this weekend for Super Bowl, um, I cook it without anything for about 4 hours at a certain temperature. And when it hits, so I put it on. In my case, I put on 225 temperature on my smoker. I put a probe in there, and then
Hmm.
when the temperature hits 155 on the pork shoulder, I take it out.
Hmm.
I put the honey, I put the butter, I put the brown sugar, I get
Hmm.
butcher paper, wrap it up, back into the smoker, put the probe in there until it gets about 205 degrees.
Wow.
And then from there, I learned this from one of my stores, is they take that out, put it in a towel, put it in a
Hmm.
cooler without ice for about 2 hours.
Mm.
I had no idea before why you do that. I
Yeah.
tried it,
Yeah.
and people think I should be on the Hell's Kitchen or whatever, Top Chef. I'm like, no, no, it's I'm like,
The
I'm like,
top chef.
yeah, I'm like, this is simple things that my guys taught me in the store,
Yeah.
that when you start doing it, it's like, this is that simple. And then when I
Yeah.
tell friends that I'm gonna try this, like, dude, this is ridiculous. My neighbors are going crazy over it. My friends are going, I'm like, yeah.
I love that. I love that. That's great. That's great. So, what would you say? Is there anything you would change about your journey? Is there anything, any regrets or anything that you would change?
Definitely. I wish I would have embraced the the digital side a lot sooner,
Okay.
the e-commerce portion of it,
Okay.
because we were so focused on the customer that we have within our markets. Right?
Hmm.
Let's do what we've been doing for many years and do it right. Take care of the people that are coming into a store and seeing us every day. Um, and the money that I should have spent or found a way to invest into the e-commerce side, I wish I would have done that a long time ago.
When did you
Because,
do that?
about 5 years ago, we started
Okay.
it. Yeah, well after our biggest quote unquote competitor on the e-commerce side The gentleman, his name is Mike. We're actually friends. He started this company because of BBQ Galore. And he told me the story himself when he sold the company 3 years ago. His exit speech, he wrote down, I started it because of BBQ Galore. He happened to be going home from, I think, Iowa or Idaho. He happened to stop by in Texas, saw one of our stores, went in, loved the concept, went to Louisiana and started his own retail store. He learned quickly that retail is a tough world. So he switched it quickly to go on online only. And he's done a phenomenal job. He's got a great business, and he cashed out a few years ago. Now we're friends on Facebook. He's on his private jet going somewhere, and a yacht going somewhere else, you know. So he embraced the e-commerce side much, much earlier and did an amazing job with it. And the company just got sold like 3 years ago to a private equity firm, and they're still growing it on the e-commerce side. So now we're playing
What's the name of the company?
BBQGuys.com.
Oh, BBQ Guys.
Yeah. Yeah, they've done a great job, and we're playing catch up to them because they're killing it. They're killing it. Yeah. And
well, that's okay because we all learn, right?
exactly. And
Yeah.
they're great people. We work with them. They buy our product and sell our product. We sell, because they started their own grill line. We sell their product and they sell ours. So it's a great competitive relationship because we know what they do. They know what we do. They specialize in the online. We specialize in the in-store experience. And sometimes we get a mix of both where customers will go to their website, but they want to touch and feel the grill. They come to our store.
Yeah.
And sometimes they come to our store. Yeah, they come to our store, look at it, touch it, and feel it, and they go buy it online and they get the sale.
Yeah. Yeah. So besides the real estate market, what are some of the challenges you have right now?
The most immediate from the last couple of months, we had a double whammy as an example. In LA in January, we had those fires, right? We had stores that were closing because they were in the impacted area. And at the same time, we had the ice storm in Dallas. So two of our biggest markets, people can't drive to the store because the roads are icy in Dallas. We have stores closed. We have associates who can't make it to the store. And we have people in LA who can't breathe because there's smoke in the air and it's close to our stores. So it's those things that pop up here and there. And January happens to be our second worst month of the year. February is the worst. January is number two because it's a winter season. People aren't thinking about grilling. They just came off of a Christmas shopping where, they're trying to control their money and pay the bills from Christmas. So it's typically slow for us. Historically, it's been low. And when you have a double whammy, like ice storm and a firestorm, it's like, oh God, okay, buckle up,
Yeah. So things that are out of your control.
Definitely. It's the external factors that have an impact, and we try to mitigate that. And that's why I say that we should have embraced the e-commerce side sooner, because that could have helped us through these times better.
Yeah, but you've had it for 5 years now, right?
Yes. So we went from doing nothing to $5 million in the first 3 years. We took a hit last year as an industry. We have weekly meetings with our marketing agency, and last Thursday's meeting, not yesterday, the one last Thursday, we got a report from Google that said the grill category for Google was down 54% for the month.
Wow. Okay.
So I knew it wasn't just us. And since we got in, how it is with Google, though, you got to spend to make, right? When we're going up against a behemoth like BBQ Guys, who spends close to $1 million a month, 10 times more than we do, we usually end up second and third place in the rankings, right? And then we had other competitors come in the market that are online only. So they don't have the overhead costs of a storefront. They don't have the overhead costs of employees to take care of, and the 401ks and the health insurance and this and that. They just, a handful of people in the office, they buy products from somebody, drop ship them to the customer's home. It's all on, and they don't touch it.
Yeah.
Where we get the stuff, we have a warehouse in Ontario that's 110,000 square feet. We have $8 million of inventory sitting there to take care of the customers that we have at the store level and online. All that costs money. So the amount of money we have to spend on marketing is limited because of the fixed cost that we have to take care of. So our number one priority is payroll, right? Make sure our people are taken care of. Number two is property. Those don't change. They just go up more and more each year.
Yeah. No, I hear that. So you guys rent everything, right?
Yes, yes.
Everything is rented, nothing is owned.
I think is on exactly.
Okay. All right. So that's so that I kind of get this sense already, but I want to ask you. So what would you say is your purpose in life?
As a CEO of a company is my biggest thrill is when I have associates, when I go to their stores and they say, "Hey, Henrik, I just bought a new house." Or somebody, I'm a gentleman who bought a Range Rover. I want to see our team members succeed. I want to see them. I want to see people. I'm getting emotional. Sorry. Uh, I truly want to see our people succeed. So my job, I tell everybody, I'm the lowest guy in the totem pole. I want to make sure that whatever dreams you have, whatever passions you have, you're able to embrace that. You're able to make those dreams happen. If you have a kid you want to put through college, and we can help with that process, that's what my purpose is to make sure that my people in the stores in the company across the board are able to fulfill whatever dreams they have for themselves and for their families.
I love
Um,
that.
and that's what sincerely gets me, you know, like that's what put the hair on my arms, raising
Goosebumps.
the
Yeah,
goosebumps. Yeah, yeah.
well, I hear that. I hear that. That is such a beautiful purpose and mission. And, I feel like you're a perfect example of a servant leader. It's all about other people. And I'm sure that's what has contributed to your extreme success, no matter where you've been. I think there's one common denominator is that success follows you.
I've been fortunate. I've been blessed with people in my life who've looked after me, who've guided me the right way, who've shown me the right way. And timing has been on my side, and people have been on my side. And I'm blessed because I would not be here for people like my buddy. I call him a buddy now because he's my boss. He's Dave Brunson was one of them, Stu Kaplan. I mean, countless names of people who were there for me to help me through this. And I've just been very fortunate. And
Amazing.
yeah, yeah, thank you. I've been very lucky.
Amazing. So how would you, if I were to ask you to describe your authentic self, how would you describe yourself?
My authentic self. I don't like talking about myself, but I try. People who've give me feedback. So listen, man, you're a real dude. What we see, what you get. You will give your shirt off your back for anybody,
Mhm.
and that's I've since I was a little kid. My dad set that example. My dad was the person that he had 9 siblings, and he was the youngest. But he was the hustler that
Mhm.
everybody came to. He's the one that worked his tail off. When his nephews and my cousins needed something in Armenia, they would come to my house, my little apartment, and my dad would take care of them. If somebody was, whatever it was, my dad was always the person that they came to take care of things. When we came to America, and you know, you know how it is when people think you come to America, there's money on the trees. They think that they grow them in the backyard.
Yeah.
But whenever he could, he would give anything he had to help his sisters back home, to help his nephews. Somebody was getting married. My dad would say, "Look, he'll send whatever money we have." We had nothing.
Mhm.
We lived 5 of us in a 1 bedroom. But whatever money that he had, he said, "Okay, look, send it to my sister's daughter is getting married, and they have nothing over there. Send them $500 over there was a lot of money for them. $500. Let him go, and enjoy it, and we'll figure out a way."
Yeah. Wow.
So that's what has been instilled in me because that's what I saw growing up,
Yeah.
and I don't know any other way.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to teach my kids. And I'll give it like my brother to me is the most amazing human being in this world. My brother is like he's my younger brother. And we grew up the same. He's also a giver. He's also what his heart, on his sleeve. And I was in a football little thing, and I won some money, right? And I go, "Hey man, I want to give $100 to my nephew. Just let him go by, because he's 7 years old." And my nephew's as a 7-year-old, his first response to my brother was, "How much can I give away?"
Oh,
At 7, you know, and that's what we learned from our dad because no matter
yeah.
what you had, whatever you get, make sure you take care of everybody you love around you, whoever needs it.
I love that. I love that. That act of generosity, and I love that. That's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Is there anything else that you'd like to, what would be your word of wisdom in all of your life experiences, which has been immense? You've had a tremendous life. What would be the one thing that you wanted to pass on to other CEOs?
Honestly, it's very basic. Just be a good person. Take care of those people around you, because without them, we're nothing. It is, to me, it's as simple as, because I'm not a smart guy as far as education goes. I've just been able to be around people and show them that I actually do care about them. It's not just lip service. You take care of your people as a CEO of a company, make sure they're treated right, make sure that they got what they need, they'll do the world for you. If you treat them like crap, you'll be getting crap.
Exactly, exactly. Couldn't say it better myself. Perfectly said. And I would argue to say that you're very smart. I think that you're very smart, highly intelligent. It's what we get in school is a degree. It's not necessarily intelligence. It's not. I know a lot of people who have lots of degrees who don't know as much as you do. So
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
no, my pleasure. I think it's the truth, true. That's the truth. That's the absolute truth. So I thank you so much, Henrik, for being with me
Thank you.
today and to sharing your life story, your leadership style and wisdom and knowledge and the ups and downs. It's been quite a journey, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure.